Thank you. We'll be led into pledge allegiance to the flag with Ms. Donna Thomas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, our sheriff will officially open the meeting.
Bedford County Board of Commissioners is now in session. The Honorable Mayor, Eugene Ray, presides.
Thank you. Thank you. To start off with, you notice you got different chairs. The clerk left the door locked, and so we wasn't able to use the same chair. So we made arrangement so everybody have a seat. So we appreciate you being here. We'll go right on through with the meeting and do what we need to do. And I want to inform everybody that on the conflict of interest statement, we got 4 people. If we're voting on the budget amendment, you need to read the conflict of interest statement or either pass, whichever way you do it. And Donna need to put it in the paper, in her minutes, whichever way this happened. If you don't, it will constitute a no vote. We got wrote up. We haven't been written up on anything with business or financial. The only thing we got wrote up this time because some didn't read the conflict of interest and they picked up on it. And so we have to make it mandatory that you do it. So if you don't have the statement, we got a statement. You can write your own statement, whichever way you want to do it, but we will enforce that. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes. A roll call.
Commissioner Thomas. Here. Commissioner Fox. Here. Commissioner Ferris.
Here.
Commissioner Sanders. Here. Commissioner Brothers. Here. Commissioner Patterson.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Yones.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Woodson. Commissioner King. Commissioner Heflin.
Here.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Here.
Commissioner Yaki. Commissioner Castleman. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Barrett. 17 present, 1 absent.
Commissioner King will be out. He will be out of town today, and he called me and told me he wouldn't be here. The next item, approval of the minutes. Recommendation for the minutes. Got a motion and second. We're open for questions. Any questions or comments? Anyone? Not all in favor? All opposed? Yes.
Is that for both of them? We got one on the
Yes.
14th and the 20th.
Yeah. Okay. Did you want to separate them? Okay. All right. Notary approval. Yeah.
Who was the second?
Tony Smith. Any question? Not all in favor? All opposed? Reports of standing committees, rules and legislative didn't have anything on the committee. The courthouse and property committee, what I like to do, I like to get the sheriff and I like to get him to make a comment, make some comment about what's going on, and then I also like Chris White. And you can come in either order you want to, and just make some comments about what's going on with the property. You can come up here and Sheriff stood up. And then if you have any question, you can answer my question. We'll do this for a brief time. I know the sheriff has been talking to some people and they've been discussing about the jail and some people have been in.
good contacts, and we've been able to get some of our state prisoners out of the jail. Of course, most what happened in jail. Do I have to push that? Okay. Mort Dort. Most of our prisoners in jail are, of course, 3 years or longer, felons. The state did take, I don't know the exact number, somewhere between 30 and 40. Still, we're overcrowded. We have them laying on mats in the floor. It's just the way it is. We're not the only jail in Tennessee that's in this position right now. In my limited time there, I have found that what seems to be the Tennessee Corrections has been helpful. They're willing to help us as long as we are making progress in our quest to, I hate to use this word as a new sheriff, get another jail, a bigger jail, a new jail. Unfortunately, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, we don't have any room down there to spread out. We can't go up. But anyway, it is what it is. A couple, I guess it's been about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks ago, a couple of months, I did talk with the guy that's actually in our district with the Corrections Institute, and he told me that they would come in November and do a mock assessment. It really doesn't mean anything. It's just kind of let us know where we need to be. But I have not heard from him since, so I don't know if that was, don't call us, we'll call you. But anyway, they seem very pleased so far with what's done. Our administrator, Jerry Searcy, has a very good relationship with the Tennessee Corrections. They like him, they trust him. They've told me they always worked well with him, so I think that's to our advantage also. But just, I guess, as I've already said, it kind of is what it is. I sort of inherited this, and it's just the way it is. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Anyone have any question? Yes, sir. Mr. Heflin?
Are all the beds in the workhouse full?
I think pretty much. There's probably some that are empty. I think the workhouse is maybe equipped to hold around 100. Now, a week or so ago, they were between 80 and 90, so I mean, there might be. And I think over the years, or the past few years, the workhouse has kind of been one of our safety nets, I guess.
Yes.
We can move them from the jail to the workhouse. Now, basically, they're trying to keep prisoners that have 3 years or less with the workhouse, and the longer sentences, and I guess more serious criminals, however you want to put it, keep them at the jail. So it's kind of a balance there as to who you put where. But if need to be, you can move them over there. It's, of course, not as secure as the jail is, but it is kind of a safety net, yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Sheriff, my question is, are we required to keep state inmates?
I don't think we're required to keep them. However, I think the state depends on all jails to keep their inmates. And quite honestly, if you've got room for them, it's probably not a bad deal. I think, as I mentioned at probably the law enforcement committee meeting we had, when we took those 30, 35 back the first go around, that's going to affect us tremendously money-wise. But it's a double-edged sword. You know, if you've got room for them and there's an income, the state's going to pay you for each prisoner every day. I think it's $30, $35 a day for each one. But on the other hand, you know, if you're going to get in a federal lawsuit and lose $500,000, that's not going to pay for that. So again, it's a double-edged sword. But to answer your question, I don't guess you just have to, but I don't know of any county jails that don't have state prisoners.
Mr. Heflin?
I guess this is maybe not directly at the sheriff, but overall with the ankle bracelet program, and I know that's in the hands of the judges, is there anything we as a commission can do to encourage that?
I don't know anything that we can do. I mean, the judge is making the decision on that. Is that right, Sheriff? The judges normally make the decision whether you,
Yes, that would be their decision.
but we have tried, and we have met with the judge to encourage that.
I think at the last law enforcement meeting, they said there were 4 in use, and it seems like.
It have to be a judge decision whether to do it or not.
Right. It just seems like it might be an opportunity to help short-term relieve some of the, till we can get a more permanent solution.
Anyone else? Thank you, Sheriff.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
let me comment on some of these questions, and this meeting is probably not the correct forum, but at some point, there needs to be some study on this issue, because, Bill, you've raised some interesting points, which I don't think we have had any really objective, calculated study. And I agree with everything the sheriff said. If you've got vacancies, the state will definitely put them in there and will definitely pay. And depending on who you talk to and what their ultimate goal is relative to this project, you will always get a different answer. I don't think we've ever been able to determine whether it makes sense or not. I guess if it's empty, anything you get makes sense unless you have additional costs for that one day that they're there. This is an area that we really need some in-depth study, and people that come into the meeting without an agenda that we definitely don't want to do this or we definitely want to do this, because I think we can reach some points that will make a lot of sense for the county and the taxpayers without blowing a whole lot of money. And I think thus far the sheriff's got it nailed. The ankle bracelet deal is a two-edged sword. That's the judge's call, not the sheriff's call. And if you got people that need to be in jail and you let them go home with an ankle bracelet, you get a lot of pushback on that. So there's some philosophical stuff there, and we're not in a position to assess each and every defendant that comes through the court system, where the judge is in a better position. I'm sure it's tough enough on him if they're running a couple of hundred through there. But all of these are good issues, and this is one of the most significant financial problems that's going to face our county in the next few years. So if we could form a committee that didn't have predisposed notions, I think we could do the taxpayers a real service. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Chris, will you come and talk about the bill in just a little bit? Give us a short version, if you will.
Could I ask John T. a question?
Yes, yes. And
Where would that study originate?
I think
who?
what John T. is saying, the coordinating committee is where it need to be. Yeah, it need to be in the coordinating committee with the judges, with lawyers, and with some stakeholders, and that's what we're trying to get done now. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Well, if you guys have been following the committee, I think where you'll find that we are right now is that the committee has picked 5 sites. They've narrowed down the sites. We think we started with about 16 different sites or potential sites. We looked at about 50 different criteria thus far, and we sort of graded each and every one of those sites, and then that committee worked its way down to, I think we've got 5 sites now. And so from this point forward, I think, can you hear me now? Okay. So from this point forward, I think it probably behoove you to narrow it down to maybe 3, to your top 3, because once you get down to your top 3, I think you're going to have to probably authorize some money to be spent for some due diligence studies on each one of those 3 sites, whichever 3 make the top 3. Because you're going to have to look at some geotechnical type of studies. You're going to have to look at some environmental type studies as well, because you don't want to buy anything or commit to purchasing anything that you haven't taken that last step. I mean, on the peripheral level, I think we've looked at everything that we could possibly look at without taking some core samples and hiring a engineering firm to do some geotechnical studies. So, any questions about where we are?
Question. Anybody have any questions, comments about the bill? Mr. Woodson.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. I realize that we probably will be forced to build a jail. I've been through that before when I was on the commission in the 80s. But I also want to say that personally, I cannot, in good faith, vote to spend money to build a jail unless at the same time we include a new high school at Cascade. These folks, hopefully most students are law-abiding citizens. They've got their future ahead of them, and they need equal access and equal treatment with the other high schools that are in this county. And I just want everybody to know where I stand at it. I realize we're not taking a vote tonight, but I think it's important that you understand that.
Anyone else have a comment about the jail? Thank you, Chris. We certainly appreciate it. All right. Law enforcement has no report. Financial Management Committee, the quarter financials, I think everyone received those items to be placed on the November 11, 2014 agenda, commissioner agenda, with a unanimous recommendation. We will entertain a motion. We got a motion and second. We're open for discussion. Any comments? Any remarks? As your name called, vote for or against.
Commissioner Gallagher? Yes. Commissioner Fox? Yes. Commissioner Smith? Yes. Commissioner Davis?
I need to make a statement. Because my wife is an employee of the Bedford County school system, I have a potential conflict of interest in the proposal that's about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents, and I vote yes.
Commissioner Brothers? Yes. Commissioner Patterson?
Yes.
Commissioner King, Woodson?
I'm confused. Are we voting on the quarterly financials or the Department of Education?
We're voting on number one. It's the quarterly financials.
All right, well, I don't think I need to declare anything, Lance, so I'll vote yes.
Commissioner King? Oh, excuse me. Commissioner Yockey? Yes. Commissioner Heflin?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Yos?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanders? Commissioner Barrett? Commissioner Brown? Commissioner Castleman? Commissioner Farrer? Commissioner Thomas? 17 ayes, 0 noes.
The next item is the Department of Education Budget Amendment Number 1, item to be placed on November 11 Commissioner agenda with a unanimous recommendation. Motion? Any discussion? Any comments? All right, as your name called, vote for or against.
Commissioner Gallagher? Yes. Commissioner Fox? Yes. Commissioner Smith? Yes. Commissioner Davis? Yes. Commissioner Brothers? Yes. Commissioner Patterson? Yes. Commissioner Woodson?
Now, this is the one that if you connect it with the education, you should declare a conflict of interest statement, don't you? Don't, your vote will be null and void.
I'll declare a conflict of interest in that.
Okay. That'd be great. That's the thing to do. Make sure you record it.
Commissioner Yockey?
Because
Mr.
I have
Davis might reconsider his vote.
Because I have a conflict of interest in proposal about to be voted, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and my obligation to my constituents and the citizens which this body represent, and I vote yes.
Commissioner Heflin? Yes. Commissioner Anderson? Yes. Commissioner Yos? Yes. Commissioner Sanders? Yes. Commissioner Barrett? Yes. Commissioner Brown? Yes. Commissioner Castleman? Yes. Commissioner Farrer? Commissioner Thomas?
You want to answer them, they want to change the vote.
Would anyone like to change their vote?
I need to read this disclaimer. Because my wife is an employee of the Bedford County school system, I have a potential conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligations to my constituents and the citizens of that this body represents, and I vote yes.
Okay.
16 ayes, 1 pass.
Okay. Number 2, County Budget Amendment 1, item placed on the November 11, 2014 Commissioner agenda with unanimous recommendation by the Financial Manager. We got motion and a second. We're open for discussion. Any question, comments? Mr. Woodson?
Since we're all 18 of us are paid by the county, and this is county budget, unless it includes something about our salary, we don't all have to read it on this, do we?
I don't think so. I don't think this would include on that. Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Is name called, vote for or against?
Commissioner Gallagher? Yes. Commissioner Fox? Yes. Commissioner Smith? Yes. Commissioner Davis? Yes. Commissioner Brothers? Yes. Commissioner Patterson? Yes. Commissioner Woodson? Yes. Commissioner Yaki? Yes. Commissioner Heflin? Yes. Commissioner Anderson? Yes. Commissioner Yose? Yes. Commissioner Sanders? Yes. Commissioner Barrett? Yes. Commissioner Brown? Yes. Commissioner Castleman? Yes. Commissioner Farrer? Commissioner Thomas? Yes. Does anyone wish to change your vote? 17 ayes, 0 noes.
The next item, discussion of the 600,000. I'll put that on that, so if there's any question, any comment, John T. is here and Robert is here, and we will talk about the 600,000. And if there's any comments, any question. Mr. Heflin, and then Mr. Woodson.
I take it by the discussion, we're going to review what we had in our last.
Any
board meeting.
questions that you got, Mr. Heflin? Anything you want to ask? Do you have a question?
Yes, have the issue been resolved with the state?
No, John T., you can report whatever you got.
No, they have not. Robert and I are both optimistic about that. I have done 2 of the 3 interviews that they requested us to do. That is Obion County, City of Crossville. I've been unable to reach an attorney in Lake City to follow up on that. The Obion County project is fairly small, got started somewhat slowly, but the attorney there says he would deem it a successful project. I have some specific numbers on that, and I believe that they started with 2 sites, and those sites are not now filled. The city has taken over that project rather than a joint effort, and they have expanded it to 4 more sites. There has not been any activity on those 4 sites, but he considers the project successful. The project in Crossville was handled by the city, not a joint effort. It started off very slowly. It has some folks in it now, but not near capacity. They are mixed-use office, distribution, and warehousing. I guess depending on who you talk to as to whether they would deem it successful or not, but the general trend is it's been very slow in developing. Haven't been able to get to the Lake City. I did talk to Jay Johnson today, and then back again with Robert, because we wanted to verify where the city was in that process. And the economic impact study has not been sent to the Department of Local Finance, and I don't believe it's been sent to Economic Development. I don't think it's gone anywhere yet. I think we were under the impression before maybe that had been sent up there, because we were asking the Director of Local Finance and couldn't quite figure out the information, but none of that's been sent. We do have that report. I've been furnished a copy of it by Alan Pittner. It was Jay's recommendation that they have a meeting this Thursday night. He's going to ask permission to get with Pittner and possibly Mayor Ray and forward that up to the appropriate places. So that's where we are for now. And we hope, Robert and I had hoped to talk to the state today, but obviously it was a holiday, so we'll follow up with that to see what our options are. I think everybody, including the city, and I don't want to speak for the city, but I'm talking with several of those people, I think everyone has concluded that even though the state said, yes, you can do this by way of a bond issue, that the size of this project, a bond issue, is cost prohibitive on the expenses. So we'll need to go another way.
Mr. Woodson?
Mr. Bobo, you passed out before us tonight an affidavit swearing that we received notification of this special meeting 5 days before. And the reason I bring this up now is because I read in the paper one that $600,000 was discussed at that meeting.
Now, this is not relative to the 600,000.
No, that's
This is
different.
relative to Stanley's project.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in just a minute.
So you are going to talk about this?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's,
Okay. Any other question? Okay. You through with it? Anyone else have a question about the 600,000? All right. The question raised about the $2 million, Stanley, you want to make comment?
the road project.
Yeah.
The bond council has asked us to ratify the action of the special meeting. He has asked us to adopt a bond monitoring and remediation policy, which I've circulated around. Robert has looked at that. It's boilerplate. The arbitrage issue is something that I can't fully explain, but it prohibits a county from borrowing tax exempt and then playing on the margin of the interest rate. You're not allowed to do that in any substantial volume. They don't want you selling tax exempts and then putting it on interest and making money. Then there is a significant section in there, restriction on business use and private loans or non-governmental functions. I've never known since I've been here that any of the county's bond money has ever been used for non-governmental. I don't think that's ever happened, but that's in this boilerplate policy. There's also a section on maintaining records, which falls the responsibility of the financial director. Then there is a section that says, in the event it's determined by the IRS that we didn't do something correct in the bonding process, that we will take the necessary steps to remediate. It's boilerplate. We have never had this before. There is an IRS form that checks yes you do, no you don't. We've sent them through before without checking either one, and they've gone through, but bond counsel recommends that we do that. The other thing in that regard is take a look at the affidavit. I think everybody was provided that notice. He just wants those affidavits. I have filed a similar one. I also, in addition to the newspaper publication, did some actual physical postings of those myself, and I've got that affidavit to submit to him. So we need to...
And the state got in touch with us that we want this to be a part of our minutes here, that Donna record these as a part of the minutes, and we can vote on it, and everybody, the ones who want to agree to it can, the ones don't have to, but we will.
The state has approved this, Robert said today.
Yeah.
We've got approval.
Yeah, Robert, you... Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's right, that's exactly right. Mr. Woodson?
All right, can we talk about this just a minute?
Sure.
Okay. I just wanted you to know that I cannot sign that because I never got a notice of the meeting. I only knew about it when I read it in the newspaper afterwards. Obviously, I would have voted for the road program. I'm not against the road program, but I can't, by the same token, sign this. And I'm not upset. I'm sure that someone probably tried to call my house or something, but you know, there's phones, there's email and all this stuff, and sometimes things get dropped, and it could have been dropped on my side, so I'm not upset at anybody. But by the same token, I will not sign that I had a 5-day notice when I didn't receive it.
Were you at the meeting?
No, I was not. I didn't know anything about it until after I read it, what happened in the paper.
They sent you an email, Jimmy, whether you got it or not, I don't know. And-
That's what I'm saying, and I'm not blaming you or your office,
and
but
then they
I'm not
also
going to
put it
sign
in-
that I received it when I
They also put it
didn't.
in the paper for you to read it, so you didn't get it. So, any other question? We need to vote on this, to spread this on the minutes, this $2 million. We'll entertain a motion to do that. Is second? All right. Any question? The $2 million.
The $2 million,
spread
not
this.
the
Yeah, they
mediation
won't
policy.
put that in the minutes. The state do. This is a requirement of the state.
All this motion is to spread the approval from the state on the minutes.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
got
We done
two-
vote
We got
for.
two more that we got to deal with.
This came in after we voted on it before. Now the state want us to vote on it. Is your name called? Vote for or against?
Commissioner Gallagher? Yes. Commissioner Fox? Commissioner Smith? Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Brothers? Commissioner Patterson? Commissioner Woodson? Commissioner King? Excuse me, Commissioner Yaki? Commissioner Heflin? Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Yos? Commissioner Sanders? Commissioner Barrett? Commissioner Brown? Commissioner Castleman? Commissioner Farrer? Commissioner Thomas? Does anyone wish to change your vote? 17 ayes, 0 noes.
Anyone else? You have
We
anything?
next need to ratify the action of the special meeting. And Jimmy, even if you didn't feel like you got notice of it, you can vote to ratify tonight based on what you just said, if you choose to. We're ratifying what took place, and what took place at that meeting was a discussion of $600,000 with no action taken, because that was just a discussion section. But what we're ratifying is the approval of the $2 million road project. So that. That's correct. We're coming to that.
Okay. You asking them to vote on this now?
Yes.
Okay, someone make a motion?
To ratify.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. You get it, Donna? All in favor? All opposed? Okay.
The third thing we need to do in this regard is adopt this monitoring and remediation policy relative to tax-free obligations, which you have in front of you. Robert and I both reviewed it with bond counsel, and I would recommend to you that it's a boilerplate policy which we should put in place.
Got a motion and a second. Any question? Mr. Heflin?
Will this policy be part of the county's bond policies in total, or is this just for this?
No, it will be an established policy for all lending that falls within the parameters, not just this one deal. Correct. We probably should have already had it, but we haven't over the years.
Any other question? Anybody else? Any other question? Is your name called? Vote for or against?
Commissioner Gallagher? Commissioner Fox? Commissioner Smith? Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Brothers? Commissioner Patterson? Commissioner Woodson? Commissioner King? Excuse me, Commissioner Yaki? Commissioner Heflin? Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Yos? Commissioner Sanders? Commissioner Barrett? Commissioner Brown? Commissioner Castleman? Commissioner Farrer? Commissioner Thomas? Does anyone wish to change your vote? 17 ayes, 0 noes.
Anything else?
On the affidavits, it requires no action of the court except for each of you to look at it. If you're comfortable with it, you can execute it. I'll notarize your signature. I heard what you said, Jimmy, so you're good to go. We'll handle that another way.
Mr. Fox?
You're right. That's a
Yeah,
good point.
yes. All in favor of suspend the rules?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was coming to that. That's the next thing on my list.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby. We need a motion to suspend
Yeah,
the rules for the
yeah.
last three items.
Okay. All in favor? All opposed? That's good. Anybody else?
Question to John
Okay.
T., since we're paying him tonight.
Good.
What is the status of the two houses on Union Street and the title searches and?
We have now completed the title searches. There are two issues. Number one, and Bo kept babbling about this, and I didn't understand what he was saying, but and this is probably not a problem, but it's something we'd have to disclose, and that is if those houses were destroyed, burned, whatever, they cannot be built back residential because of an intermediate zoning change. There is also an encroachment on one of them that had to be utilized to accommodate the adjacent facility of the nursing home, because at the time we owned all of it. That can be severed out, but I don't know that it's clearly marked. So from that standpoint, I guess you can do whatever you want to, including RFPs with those conditions.
And I think we'll have to decide, they want to do an RFP, you want to have an auction, or whatever you want to do, based on what he's saying tonight. Maybe your committee, Bill and Property Committee, make a recommendation. Anyone else? Is there anything else coming for? We'll move to adjourn.
It is 6 o'clock, Verizon time, that's what we go by. This is our city council meeting for November 13th, 2014, and it is 6 o'clock, so we'll, here in the City Hall Annex, we'll have a call to order and invocation by Brother Mark Hall with the Ransom United Methodist Church, and after which we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. If we stand, Brother Mark give our invocation.
Let's pray together. Father, in the name of Jesus, first of all, I thank you for these men and women who have the courage to sit in these seats, to help make decisions that I pray will have a huge impact upon this community for many generations to come. I ask that you give them great wisdom that comes from your throne, that you give them supernatural insight and understanding, able to make decisions that will impact lives, that will have a positive influence upon this community. And most importantly, I ask that you will allow them to make decisions that make your name great. Thank you for this community. Thank you for all the servants that work to do the service of this community on behalf of all the people here. And in Jesus' name, we give you honor and glory and praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We thank you. Thank you, Brother Mark, for coming down and having our invocation for us. And I understand you got supposed to be in Murfreesboro at 7, so we won't hog tie you. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
We'll have a roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt. Here. Councilmember Landers.
Here.
Councilmember Meek.
Here.
Councilmember Feldhouse.
Here.
Councilmember Rose.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Okay, everyone's here. We have a quorum. We have 3 non-agenda items to be added to our agenda this evening. The first item is consideration of a motion approving the contract purchase of 58 acres on Horse Mountain Road, Shelbyville, Tennessee, Shelbyville Warehouse LLC property, and granting the authorities to the city manager to take the necessary steps to close on the property. The second item is consideration of a motion to release deed of trust on 111 Fair Oak Street, map 89, FD 16.00, which was part the home grant program adopted by resolution in 1997. Excuse me. And the third item is acknowledge the letter of application for the STP project eligibility for resurfacing of Lane Parkway, Cannon to Union. So those 3 items to be added to the agenda. Are there any other items to be added at this time? Any to be taken away? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So move.
Have a motion to adopt as amended. Second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Now then, we need a motion to adopt the agenda. Maybe I should have done that first, but anyway, need a motion.
So move.
Have a motion. Second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Okay, that's approved. Okay, the next is the approval of minutes of the previous meeting, regular session, October the 9th, 2014. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. And at this time, we will close our regular session, and we're going to open a public hearing. We have two items on public hearing. First is an ordinance to amend the Article 5, Section 5.5.5A1 of the zoning ordinance to modify the meeting date and time of the Shelbyville Historic Zoning Commission. And anyone here like to speak on behalf of that, one way or other, for or against? Hearing no comment, we'll close that, and we'll go to the next. Ordinance to amend Appendix 1, Table of Uses of the Municipal Zoning Ordinance by assigning all uses in extensive manufacturing classifications as special exception in the I-3 Zone Special Impact Industrial District. Anyone like to speak on behalf of that, one way or the other, for or against? Hearing no comment, we'll close the public hearing and reopen our stated meeting. Excuse me. This time I'll entertain a motion to allow the city attorney to read caption only for ordinances.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. And our acting city attorney this evening is Mr. White Burke. Ms. Ginger is sick, so she couldn't be here, and he's filling in, so we're going to let him work.
Glad to be here.
Okay, the first ordinance on third and final reading, an ordinance as amended to annex into the city of Shelbyville certain area containing 88 acres located on Frank Martin Road. Recommendation to defer until December 2014. We'll entertain a motion to defer.
Move we defer.
Okay, have a motion, second?
Second.
Okay, do we have a roll call on that? Roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt? Yes. Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Okay, that is deferred. Next is an ordinance to rezone 88 acres located on Frank Martin Road as L1 Light Industrial. And here also, we have a motion to defer until December 2014.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, excuse me, roll call.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt? Yes.
That's approved. Next is an ordinance amending Ordinance 939 of the City of Shelbyville, Tennessee, adopting the annual operating and capital improvement budget, all funds for fiscal year 2014-2015.
Is an ordinance amending ordinance number 939 of the City of Shelbyville, Tennessee, adopting the annual operating and capital improvements budget, all funds for the fiscal year 2014 through 2015, providing for an effective date.
Okay, you've heard the reading of the ordinance and entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt? Yes. Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Next, an ordinance to make final amendments to the budget ordinance of the City of Shelbyville, Tennessee for the fiscal year 2013-2014, the period ending June the 30th, 2014.
It's an ordinance to make final amendments to the budget ordinance of the City of Shelbyville, Tennessee for the fiscal year 2013 through 2014, the period ending June 30, 2014.
Okay, you've heard the reading of the ordinance, so we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
No.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt? Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Ordinance is on second reading. We have two. First is an ordinance to amend Article 5, Section 5.5.5A1 of the zoning ordinance to modify the meeting date and time of the Shelbyville Historic Zoning Commission.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shelbyville, Tennessee, to amend Article 5, Section 5.5.1A1 of the municipal zoning ordinance to modify the meeting date and time of the Shelbyville Historic Zoning Commission and repealing any ordinance or portion of ordinance in conflict therewith.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance and entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Next is an ordinance to amend Appendix 1, Table of Uses of the Municipal Zoning Ordinance by assigning all uses in extensive manufacturing classification as special exception in the I-3 zone, Special Impact Industrial District.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shelbyville, Tennessee, to amend Appendix 1, Tables of Uses of the Municipal Zoning Ordinance by assigning all uses in the extensive manufacturing classification as special exceptions in the I-3 zone, Special Impact Industrial District, and repealing any ordinance or portion of ordinance in conflict therewith.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance and will entertain a motion to approve.
I make that motion.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
That is approved. Next is new business ordinances on first reading. An ordinance to amend the zoning maps by fixing the mixed plan use development overlay or property zone, C2, North Main Street, more specifically defined as map 78, OG 4.00, establishing public hearing date of December the 11th, 2014.
An ordinance of the Shelbyville City Council to amend the zoning map of the City of Shelbyville by fixing a mixed plan use development overlay on property zone C2, a C2 Highway Service District owned by Rod Parsons located on North Main Street and repealing any ordinance or portion of ordinance in conflict therewith.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance and will entertain a motion to approve.
Move we approve.
Okay, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Before going any further, I'd like to recognize those with leadership Bedford class here this evening. We're glad to have y'all down with us, so you're welcome anytime. And as I believe Thomas Landers told you yesterday morning, this is kind of a dull session, but this is mostly a yes or no answering time here. Our study session is one you could come to and get in on all the discussion and everything that goes on. Resolutions, we don't have any resolutions this evening. Our business items, accounts payable, entertain a motion to pay our accounts.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any questions for Ms. Jamie? Roll call.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. Next is Treasurer's Report, October the 2014, and the various department reports, October 2014, and these will be received as submitted. Next, consideration of a motion acknowledging receipt of Parks and Recreation Department fiscal year 2014 annual report. I'll entertain a motion to acknowledge receipt of that report.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any questions on that? Everybody got it? It was a good report, I thought. Roll call. Okay. All in favor of receiving that Park and Recreation Department report, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Next is consideration of motion authorizing city mayor and city manager to discuss with county mayor industrial subcommittee members and restructure through a new interlocal agreement. Entertain a motion to authorize that.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? You got any answers?
I got one thing I want to say, just to clarify the record. The newspaper had a confusing thing between a conversation that Jay and I had the other night. It said that I proposed that we do a bond issue to pay for this, which is exactly the opposite of what I said. We were clarifying that we were not going to do a bond issue at that expense, so people on the street were trying to hit me up saying, well, why are you wanting to borrow all this money? I said, I'm not wanting to borrow. I was just the opposite of what I wanted to do. So I complained to them, and I haven't heard any reply back, so I wanted to confirm that's my position on this industrial part.
Okay. Okay. We need a, do we have a,
We have a
we had a
motion.
motion and a second.
Vote. Just an oral vote on that. All in favor?
Okay. So we can do this oral, right? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Okay, that's approved. Next is consideration of motion to authorize repair of street sweeper at an estimated cost of $15,000. Entertain a motion to approve that.
So move.
We have a
Second.
motion, I guess, and a second. Any discussion, any questions for Mark? Roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. Next is a consideration of a motion to take action on matters as reviewed in executive session, the Cooper versus the City of Shelbyville. This is a motion to authorize legal counsel and the mayor to execute settlement agreement at no additional cost to the city.
So move.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Mayor, I would clarify that the signature would only be upon the agreement of all the parties involved. I think everyone knows there's not just the city, but several property owners part of this agreement.
Okay. All right, roll call.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
That is approved. Next is consideration of motion to accept offer of exchange of firearms, highest offer of $23,250 from GT Distributors of Rossville, Georgia. And you have something you would like to say about this?
No, I've submitted Lori prepared a report and was submitted to council.
Okay. So we need a motion to accept the offer.
So move.
Have a motion. Second?
Second.
Have a second. All right. Yes.
If I may, I really like to take this opportunity to compliment the police department and Lori Sadler, our purchasing agent. A great deal of time. This was a lengthy, deliberative process, but the results were very rewarding.
So, and I think this exchange of firearms is for equipment that we can use.
Yes, sir.
And no money involved, just swapping weapons for equipment. Okay. Roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Next is bids. We have two bids. The first is consideration of a motion to accept bid from the lowest bidder, Borderline Waterworks of Nashville for culvert pipe for Public Works Department as recommended by the bid committee. I entertain a motion to accept that bid.
So move.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Rose?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse?
Yes.
Councilmember Meek?
Yes.
Councilmember Landers?
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt?
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. Next is consideration of a motion to accept a bid from Tire and Muffler USA, Shelbyville, for oil change and routine vehicle service for city departments as recommended by by the bid committee. Excuse me. Entertain a motion to accept. Okay, we have a motion, second?
Second.
Have a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Landers,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse,
Yes.
Councilmember Rose,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Next, we have our added items to the agenda. The first is a consideration of a motion approving the contract purchase of 58 acres on Horse Mountain Road, Shelbyville Warehouse LLC property, and granting the authority to the city manager to take the necessary steps to close on the property. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Okay, have a couple of them. Yes, sir.
It may be appropriate to take just a moment and explain how we got to this point, which I think is very positive. July 31st, the council authorized the city staff to make an offer with Traders Bank to purchase the property. There were good faith discussions at that time. Unfortunately, the process did not go through. We've had on-again, off-again discussions since summer. Last week, we were contacted by a representative of the United States Federal District Court, Bankruptcy Court, and then subsequently contacted by the Bankruptcy Court itself. And we have submitted the offer to the court directly, and that is the contract that is before you. This still has to go through several procedural steps, but we're in a situation now where we're dealing directly with the trustee for the court. We think this is a very positive move towards the possible purchase of this property.
Okay. Any other discussion, any discussion? Any questions? Roll call.
Councilmember Pruitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Landers,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse,
Yes.
Councilmember Rose,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
That is approved. Next is consideration of a motion to release deed of trust on 111 Fair Oak Street, map 89, FD 16.00, which was part of the home grant program adopted by resolution in 1997. Entertain a motion to release the deed of trust.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Almost 20 years ago now, the city was involved in a process where we received a grant to rehab homes for low and moderate income citizens. As part of that process, there was an encumbrance placed onto the property in favor of the city if that property were to be sold within 5 years. In this instance, somehow that encumbrance never was released. The individual that was the recipient of the grant at that time has since passed away, and in order to sell the property, the city needs to remove the encumbrance. I think this is an example of an excellent program. It worked very well, but it is time to remove the encumbrance.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Councilmember Rose,
Yes.
Councilmember Feldhouse,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
Councilmember Landers,
Yes.
Councilmember Pruitt.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. Next is acknowledged letter of application for the state STP project eligibility for resurfacing of Lane Parkway, Cannon to Union. And entertain a motion to acknowledge the letter of application.
So moved.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Okay. We're down to announcements. I'd like to say on behalf of Miss Amanda, are you? Yes, there you are. She asked that I announce that November the 17th, we'll have a special call meeting of the Planning Commission to study the table of uses and zoning ordinances, right?
Yes, as
Both?
well as the cell phone tower ordinance.
Okay. And that's on cell towers and all. And then on the, let's see, what's the next date? The 18th, same week. Okay, we have a special study session here in the courtroom, and this is on the zoning at 6 PM, right? Okay. I do have it in my little book, I'm just going too far. Okay, so those two announcements we have to make. And like I say, I didn't get to attend yesterday, but Charlie McDonald and James Richardson retired from the fire department, and they had a little dinner for them and all yesterday, so we thank them for the years of service that they did with our fire department. And also, I'd like to say that Mr. Mike Alsop will be joining us as the new director of the Parks and Recreation Department. When?
Dates to be determined.
Oh, to be determined. Okay. But we do have one that has been selected. Are there any further announcements? Hearing none, Jay, and I'll go get back to Nashville. So we'll close this meeting. That's all of our agenda. Bye.